Hey, uh, today I'm going to talk about religion. Um, Religion as and how it's used. Religion as like a the opiate of the masses kind of thing. The biggest form of mind control ever perpetrated on the public. People talk about religious and religious beliefs and whatnot, and they usually swallow them with blind faith, which I don't understand because it is such a fixed belief system. And what it's basically saying is all you need to know is between the covers of this book, or this man in a frock, or this man in a whatever the hell the other religions wear. It's just really limiting. And most people kind of sense that, and they're not real Christians. They just go to church on Sunday because they're afraid to go to hell. That's another way that religion controls people, is through fear. If you don't do what God wants, you're going to hell. You're going to suffer and burn and torture and etc., etc. But God still loves you no matter what you do. But if you don't follow him, I mean, it really is just a way to control people and control their minds and not get them thinking outside the box, hardly ever. And they only associate with fellow people of the same religion. And I was very lucky in a way. We stopped going to church when I was around 6 for some pretty messed up reasons. I won't get into them now. Something happened in our family in regards to the church. So we just I didn't know about it at the time, but we just stopped going. And hey, it didn't bother me. I hated getting up early in the morning at that time. Hated waking up and having to go to church and listen to some guy drone on about things I didn't even understand at the time. I mean, it was just so boring. And what happens is it's generational. My grandparents went to church, my parents went to church, and then something happened to break the cycle, which I'm grateful for, because otherwise we probably would have kept going to church. Although my mother hated getting up early too. So it might have been possible and she really didn't like it that much. But I guess she went because she believed it, and my grandparents went because they believed it. But it's just really, it's really is a mind killer in a way. It stops you from thinking of any other beliefs and not to associate with those with other beliefs because they're evil. Yeah. Yeah, they're evil. Yeah, they're so evil that they basically believe in the same exact God you do. And they basically believe in the same things that you do. There's very little difference. I mean, there are differences, yeah. But on the base level, you talk to a guy who supposedly has more authority than you when it comes to God, and he tells you what you can do to please God. And that's what you spend your life doing to get into heaven, or 72 virgins, or whatever the hell kind of weirdo, bogus reward they give you for following their fixed belief system. And it's fine if you believe in it, but don't bring it into every conversation. Don't always talk about how much, because it gets really tedious after a while. It's fine if you want to believe that. Go ahead. just don't try and impose it on me. Because when I was in college, I had a lot of friends who were devout Christians. I mean, super devout, Bible studying Christians. They had a youth pastor come to the dorm room and like read Bible study. And one time I was going to go into one of my friends' dorm rooms, and I knocked on the door, and they were having a Bible study, and they kind of forced me in there. And I was like, okay. And I came up with a theory that I don't think God is keeps creating things. I think he just created the universe and then he just let it go, and see what happened. And he's watching. And they thought that was interesting because they'd never thought of it, never heard anything like that. They always thought of what the Bible tells them. And the Bible is a really messed up book. There are so many versions of it. Might as well be a magazine. I mean, there's like at least 200,000, up to probably 400,000 versions of the Bible. The one most people read is the King James's version. And what happened was over the years, it was edited, retranslated, re-edited. Kings took out things they didn't like. It was re-edited, retranslated, re-edited, retranslated. And it was written by men. Let's not forget that. It's written by men, or mostly. Maybe a couple of women got to write. I don't know. Back then, I don't. It's a very bad time for women back then, too. And everyone was white. I mean, they were living in the Middle East. But people still believe that Jesus was white. I mean, it's just so ridiculous. If he even existed, it's another thing. I don't know. I'm not going to say he did or he didn't. But there is ample evidence that a lot of the stories they told about Jesus were based on somebody else, a Roman king or something. I know his name, but it's pointless to say it right now. But I mean, it's just like he might have existed, he might not have, but he is a very loving person, but most people don't even follow what he taught, which was unconditional love, unconditional forgiveness. People don't practice that because they're not pure enough. I don't know. They don't practice the golden rule, which is one thing that is good from religion. Do unto others as you'd like done to yourself. We did that I think I said this in another video. If we did that for 24 hours, like totally did it, everybody did it, the world would be transformed in a day. But of course, people who follow this fixed belief system, sure, they may get some good out of it. Of course, there's going to be some kind of reward that you get intrinsically out of feeling like you're the God's chosen people and whatnot. But if you've ever expanded your mind and expanded your thought beyond the program, you'd see that what you call God is within you. It's not anything it's not something that's above you, not something that's better than you, something you have to be subservient to. It's within you. It is within you, especially around your heart. The kingdom of heaven is within you. I believe Jesus supposedly said that. So why are we always looking up? Maybe do we lose a vertebrae in the evolution process and we have to keep looking? I mean, what is going on here? Human beings are always looking for a higher power when in fact we are the ones with the power. We have a living God inside of us that can talk directly to us. No middleman required. And it's really sad that a lot of the things that would awaken people from the religions are banned by the religions, like things like meditation in non-Buddhist, you don't see much of that. Like, I'm trying to think of other examples. Psychic phenomena are dismissed as the devil's work, and the devil, if you look at religions, the devil is really the Old Testament God, if you really think about it, because Old Testament God would just kill people. I remember the story about the Tower of Babel or Babel, whatever, however you pronounce it. They were building, everyone was working together. They were building this big tower towards God. And when they get too close to God, he got scared and smashed the tower and scattered the people all over the world and have them speaking different languages. So they never come to. I mean, does that make any sense for a loving God to do something like that? I mean, seriously, it really is mind bending when you think of the things as these. And it's a lot of cognitive dissonance because, like, if you're such a great Christian or Muslim or Jew or Hindu or whatever, you would treat everyone, pretty much as you would like yourself to be treated, because that is the way of most religions. I mean, they say to be of service, help others. I mean, and that's great. It's absolutely great. They do some great work. They do. But it's usually under the guise of converting like missionaries in Africa, trying to make them read the Bible. And oh, you don't get any food until you read your Bible. I mean, but they do some good work. I'm not going to knock all of it. There's a lot of good that comes out of religions, but there's also the bad side where you're being firewalled off to all these other experiences that you could be having, like unconditional love and infinite consciousness, just because you basically go somewhere where somebody else tells you how it is, and this book will tell you how it is. You don't have to do any real actual work on your own to figure out the true nature of reality. You just accept their version because obviously they know better than you, and you forget how much power you really have. And it's sad, but at the same time, for certain levels of consciousness, it's a good thing. If you're in a state of fear, shame, guilt, it might raise you up a bit. Once you pass a certain level of consciousness, you'll see that it's only going to hold you back. But I mean, it's fine to believe in things greater than yourself. And I believe that we're all connected and that we're all one consciousness, experiencing itself subjectively. Sure, that's what I believe. And I also believe that we're infinite possibility, infinite love. But that's not limiting because it covers infinite, the infinite world, the infinite love, the infinite. And it's a much better way to think about the world in your life. But it's much harder to practice. But I do my best. It's easy to get sucked into the lower states, but you just keep, thinking of yourself and the world as just anything is possible. Anything is, we're all one consciousness and we're all different, unique points of attention in that infinite forever. And that is such a wonderful, empowering, loving belief. And I don't understand. And Jesus was saying certain things. I've read Disappearance of the Universe, and I tried reading A Course in Miracles, but it's just too wordy and long. But The Disappearance of the Universe was a great book about a guy who had two, I don't know what you'd call them. They were kind of ascended masters meet with him and talk about the real teachings of Jesus. And that Jesus said the world was a holographic illusion, which is something I already knew about and already had heard so many other places. And he talked about how the only thing that's real is forgiveness and love and all the positive emotions, and everything else is just illusion. And I covered this in another video. Infinite love is the only truth. Everything else is illusion. And that's more of an empowering belief, because the only thing I didn't like about that was that you had to keep coming back until you were enlightened. And I don't know if that's true or not, because I haven't died in this body yet. But what I have read was in the Saturn Moon Matrix, which is something that would take a while to explain. When people die, if they're not in a state of, higher consciousness, they do get recycled back until they do reach a certain level of consciousness. But, because it's called the Ouroboros, or the Ring Pass Knot, and it's located coincidentally around Saturn, I guess, in the holographic play-out world, or I don't know, it's some kind of. But what happens is, if you're in the state of, positive emotions, positive vibrations and whatnot, you can go past it. But if you're stuck in the fear, shame, guilt area, you'll get shuffled back here. Or so they say. But if we all approached ourselves as all being one, there would be no wars. There would be no violence. There wouldn't even be very many arguments. There'd be debates. There wouldn't be like any kind of violence, really. And religion, by its very definition of excluding others, creates violence. Muslims versus Christians versus Hindus versus Jewish people. Although the Jewish people, for the most Jewish people don't usually start wars. It's just usually the Zionists that do that, like in Israel, the government of Israel, not the people. There's very many people in Israel who are against the Palestinian genocide. But religions, nationalism, all that stuff, all it does is teach you to not hate others, but at least not associate with others that you don't know, you never met, you have no problem with them, but it kind of breeds hate. Whereas thinking us is all connected can only breed positive emotions, mostly unconditional love, because I am you, you are me. We are all the same family. Guess that sounds kind of trite, but if we all lived our lives that way, we all respected each other, and we all basically loved each other, no matter what religion you are, no matter what race you are, no matter whatever you are. Who cares? We're all part of the infinite forever. We're all just here for a while, and we go back to the infinite forever, infinite conscious, infinite love, infinite possibility. And it's just sad to see people sucked in by these. I'm trying to think of the word for it. It's not factory. Assembly line religions, where you know, or I'm not even sure the right words, but you know what I mean. These religions that are very well established and they're um, sure a lot of people do believe them, but you could take the good bits from all the religions and live your life that way too, and just dismiss the fear-based parts like the hell and if you're gay, you should be put to death. I mean, that's actually a misprint, by the way, mistranslation. It was about pedophilia, not gay people. So I forget where I read this, but it was if a man should lie with a boy like he lies with a woman, which is obviously wrong. But of course, and another problem is most religions are against abortion when I don't see why they would be. Maybe it's because they want more followers, be fruitful and multiply. But then they're also against premarital sex. So I don't understand. There's so many contradictions in all these religions. I'm mostly talking about the Christian side because that's the one I know the most about. The only one that half makes any sense to me is Buddhism, but it's still a belief system that's caged, although they are more open to other beliefs. So you got to give them credit for that. But I just suggest that you would expand your mind, expand your heart, and expand your consciousness beyond any program religions because you're just living in a bubble, belief bubble. And whenever somebody goes and pops it, you're going to have cognitive dissonance and it's going to be really uncomfortable. And wouldn't you rather learn more, become more spiritual, have more spiritual depth perception than going to church on Sunday and listening to the same stories over and over every year? I don't know how the priests don't get tired of that, or the imams or the rabbis don't get tired of reading the same stories over and over every year. And Palm Sunday and Ash Wednesday. I mean, I'm just so glad, so grateful that I didn't have to go to church past around 6 years old, except for funerals. And I had never been to a wedding, so I'm probably gonna have to go to a couple in the next couple of years. So might have to end up going back to a church, but you know, once in a while, I can just sit there and pick out how ridiculous it all is. Anyway, these are my views on religion. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you understand that getting stuck in a box, any belief box, where you're not willing to go beyond it, is a trap and a prison, and it's not good for you. Even if it might help you if you're at a lower level, but there's always time for more progress and improvement in your spiritual beliefs. So, have a good day, everybody. And I'll see you tomorrow. Don't know what I'm going to talk about. I'll figure something out. Anyway, goodbye.